Hi, I'm Reverend Jake Zabel, and welcome to Children's Bible Stories. Alrighty children, welcome back to Children's Apocryphal Stories. Today, we're going to be doing another apocryphal story. Now this story doesn't come from the Old Testament Apocrypha. Instead, this story comes from the Jewish historian Josephus. And this is the story of Toddler Moses. So, after baby Moses had been found by the Egyptian princess, Moses' sister Miriam had asked the princess if she wanted to get a wet nurse. And they did, and Miriam went and got their mother, Jochebed, to be the wet nurse for the Egyptian princess. This meant that Moses' mother would feed and look after and raise Moses until he was weaned, until he was about 2 years old. Now, after Moses was 2 years old, the princess took Moses and adopted him as her son. He was now Prince Moses. He was part of the royal Egyptian family. And after this, the princess took toddler Moses to go see her father, the Pharaoh. And she said, "Father, look, I've adopted this little Hebrew baby to be my son." Now, Pharaoh probably already had his own sons who were going to inherit the throne. So he probably had his own son there who was a prince waiting in line to be king. But this was another little prince, and Pharaoh was actually pleased to see toddler Moses. And as Josephus writes, the princess put toddler Moses on the Pharaoh's lap, who was sitting on his throne. And the Pharaoh was so pleased with this little baby, and he took the crown off his head and he put it onto the toddler's head. Whoops. He put the crown onto the toddler's head. But as Josephus writes, Moses didn't want to be a prince and wear the crown. I don't want to be a prince. And he threw the crown on the ground and he stomped all over it. And as Josephus writes, at this time, there was a scribe in Pharaoh's court. And this scribe wasn't just any old scribe. He was like the magicians, the wise men for the Pharaoh. And so, he was a bit of a prophet. And when he saw Moses stamping and stomping all over the crown, he received a prophecy and he said, "No! King, we gotta kill this baby straight away, otherwise he's gonna bring the downfall on all the Egyptians." And the scribe prophet picked up a knife and he went to go kill toddler Moses, but the princess quick grabbed him and protected him, and Pharaoh told the prophet to leave the poor baby alone. But the scribe warned him. He said, "Pharaoh, you don't understand. This toddler is going to bring great calamity upon Egypt." And so Josephus writes that God actually did speak through the mouth of this false prophet to predict that Moses was going to bring a downfall of the Pharaoh and to bring calamity upon Egypt. And this would happen later when Moses was fully grown and God would send the 10 plagues on Egypt in order to let the Israelites go. And so, children, that is an apocryphal story. And by apocryphal, I mean it's not from the Bible, and so we don't know if it is real. The Jewish historian Josephus, who lived around the same time as Jesus, he wrote down this story as if he thought it was real. So we know that the Jews around the time of Jesus did believe that this story was a real story, but it's not in the Bible, so we don't know for 100% if this really did happen. But maybe it did. Either way, it's a very interesting story, and I've hoped you've enjoyed watching this video. I've been your host, Reverend Jake Zabel. Goodbye, and God bless.